What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to your channel. We got 2 videos in 2 days. I said in my upload yesterday, if you guys loved the video and it did well enough, then I would continue to do so. And you guys kind of blew that video out of the water. So here we are. Today's video, I'm going to touch on a couple of things, but mainly the rumored OpTic and Dallas merger. I think this is essentially one of the biggest things to ever happen in Call of Duty esports, period. So I definitely want to devote a video to it, give my thoughts, potential things that I think will help and hurt the scene with this merger if it were to happen. Obviously, this is all speculation at this point, but Cronebomb, if you guys didn't see it, Rev will throw it up on the screen right now. There's an article, I'll link it in the description below as well, that was released last night on Twitter, pretty late. I think it was like around 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, but Cronebomb that OpTic and Dallas were going to merge. We'll break it down. I'll give my inputs as, you know, you guys are here for, and we'll get straight into it. So appreciate you guys for watching as always, and if you enjoy this style of content and you guys want me to make more as the days unfold and as the stories break, blow the video up and we'll continue to do it. Appreciate you guys. So 2 things before I jump into OpTic and Dallas. One, LAG entirely squad wiped their team. That was pretty much expected. If you're a bottom 4 team in the CDL, you really don't want to cling on to anyone unless they're like a really good player. And then moving on to London, which they did that. They squad wiped except for Afro. That is like the rumor. They're building like a whole European team. I'm sure most of you guys are aware of the speculation there. But LAG, their team is completely gone, so they're in a similar situation as Paris. I don't know where they're going to go. I legitimately have not heard anything. If they're going to go the challenger route, if they're going to go for someone like Crim, I'm entirely not sure whatsoever. So, you know, like I said, same boat as Paris. They have a lot of options, so we're going to see what they do. So moving into the Dallas and OpTic merger, I do have a couple of things I want to touch on because these are just like my initial thoughts about it. Number 1 is going to be the branding, and I think that's probably number 1 for a lot of people. I don't know how this is going to go. The rumor is that it's going to be called the OpTic Empire or the Dallas OpTic, one or the other. I'm kind of impartial. I think both are like kind of meh in the first place. And I don't really know if Dallas is like absorbing the OpTic branding or if OpTic is absorbing the Dallas branding, or like how they're going to portray both teams, if they are at all. So I think that that's definitely number 1. I'm excited to see what they come up with because Hector is a, you know, marketing genius. I always think of the Houston Outlaws and like how well they did that. So that's number 1 for me. And I think that the Dallas brand itself, you know, the incorporation with Envy and the crown, the color scheme, the name, like I really was a big fan of the Dallas branding when it originally launched. So I'm not sure, again, if they're just going to completely absorb it, if they're going to try to integrate both into, you know, one centralized thing. I'm not entirely sure. So I'm excited to see what they end up doing there. Again, guys, this all is speculation at this point. Nothing's been confirmed by either side. But Crone is usually right most of the time, so we're going to take his word on it. Again, if you guys want to read the article, I'll leave it in the description below for your viewing pleasure. Number 2 is obviously the team. You have 2 teams of 2. You have, since Matt retired, rest in peace. And you have Envoy that being dropped, so you're left with Seth and Brandon, or Scum and Dashy, because I'm not allowed to use names on my channel because I got bitched at. And then you have Illy and Shotzi on the other side, so naturally that seems to be the team. I don't really think that you would get rid of 2 players on both teams to not, you know, converge those 2 rosters. So right now that's the rumor. I think that's a really good team. I think Brandon switching to main makes the most sense. I think he is much more of a main than a flex. The only thing about Brandon running main is he is very, not fast, but he's very loose on the map. So maybe the methodical play style required of a main, depending on the COD, because you can get away with it in a couple of games. So depending on how next year plays, I think Brandon on a main could be a really good thing. Like I said, it's very dependent on how the spawn system and all that stuff goes. And third that popped into my head was someone has to buy in now. And my initial thoughts were, 1, United, because they've been, you know, going off on social media and they love memes and, you know, trolling and baiting and shit. So they've had like an announcement waiting for a little while, and I think there actually is an announcement today. This video is going to go live, I'm not quite sure when, but it'll be today at some point on Twitch. So United has an announcement, and then Cloud9 was baiting a little bit, so I'm not quite sure if they're interested in buying into the CDL. That'd be fucking insane. Cloud9 is an S-tier North American organization, so I think having a Call of Duty team represent them would be just fucking insane for the space. So I hope Cloud9 buys in, but I think I'm probably leaning more towards the United just because, you know, they're homegrown Call of Duty. They have a world championship on their belt, so I think United is probably more likely, but you know, there needs to be a team to buy in. If this merger were to happen, that Chicago spot is open, so I don't know who it could be. The next point was like the thought process of Hector and Stro here. You know, they both built their brands from the ground up. They are through and through grassroots Call of Duty organizations. And to see a merger is like a little weird in my opinion. Like they're both very, very proud of their individual accomplishments. Stro has always preached winning and trophies over everything. And Hector obviously a little bit more content oriented. So seeing these guys, basically the pillars of Call of Duty, the two original backbone pillars of Call of Duty merged together, it's a little weird because like I said, that one of them is being absorbed. I don't know if Envy is going to continue to do, you know, their own thing and it's just going to be the Dallas Empire and, you know, Chicago OpTic, if that's just its own thing, or if it's like an entire brand thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, is it Envy and OpTic coming together, or is it Dallas and OpTic coming together? Does that make sense? So I don't know how that's going to go, because like I said, these are fucking 10 plus year organizations that both of these guys have built. So seeing them kind of not disappear, but like, you know, it's weird to explain, but like, I don't know. I just didn't see something like this really happening ever. It's a weird situation. I can wholeheartedly say without actually knowing is that these guys want to win champs and they want to beat FaZe. So I think that this roster in both of their heads was the best chance at doing that. I tweeted last night that like the entire league is just like assembling the fucking Infinity Stones and the Avengers to try to beat FaZe. And I think that like that was probably at the forefront of the thought process here. It was like sorry guys, Scump, Dashy, Illy, and Shotzi seem to be on paper a really fucking insane team. I know when this initially got leaked, a lot of question marks were around Ender and his ability to keep up with the other three, but I think this roster is really, really good. This is an S tier roster. So I think that was definitely the forefront. I think after how good of a game that Seth had in Cold War with not having the success to back up his individual performances, I think that really rung true. Like, we need a fucking roster that is going to compete with FaZe. So I think that Seth pushing for this, I hope, makes the most sense in my head, at least. I think that these guys just through and through want to win, and I think that you know, they thought this was the best chance they had, which I kind of agree with. You know, you have probably the best sub outside of the Tiny Terrors in Shotzi, you know, coming off of Seth's best game in years. Brandon, who is the epitome of consistency and slaying and stuff like that. And then Illy, who's a little bit more methodical. I think this is definitely a recipe for a winning team. So I think that's just kind of how that goes. I think that's the reason for the merger. Again, I think all of the details are going to be really weird about how everything is going to be announced. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the branding and the absorbing, and I don't know how that shit works. That is not my job. Shout out Drake and Josh if you know. But it's just, I don't know, man. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is all speculation. Crone dropped the Woj bomb, so I figured it was worth talking about. You know, this is the thing that the entire Call of Duty community is going to be talking about until it's announced, and even after it's announced. So I figured hitting the ground running and just getting y'all's initial impressions would be fun. So let me know down below what you guys are thinking. Do you guys want the Dallas OpTic? Do you want the OpTic Empire? Like, what are we thinking here? You know, I saw a couple of teased logos on Reddit. I wasn't a big fan. Like I said, man, I'm a huge fan of the Dallas branding, so I don't know how they're gonna go about doing all of this. But like I said, these guys know what they're doing. They've been around for years and years and years. So I'm excited to see what they can come up with if this were to happen. And the roster itself is really fucking good. So it's exciting for Call of Duty. This might be the biggest thing to ever happen to COD, to be honest with you. Like, I think this has to be, right? There's nothing that like comes to mind like straight away that like even comes fucking close. So who knows? We'll see what happens. Appreciate you guys for watching as always. And as more stuff begins to unfold in Roster Mania, we'll be right here. Appreciate you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day.